Buck?
Thank you, Joanne. It's 8:48. Landlords know bad tenants cause even worse problems, but it's believed all those problems can be eliminated through a good screening process. And there are 5 questions that you must ask your prospective tenants before you decide to rent to them. And here to explain them is our own Fox 5 real estate expert, John Adams. John, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Doing great, thanks.
Great.
So let's get right to it. Specific questions, beginning with question 1. What is it?
Well, it's real important. Before we get there, you have to treat everyone exactly the same. You don't ever want to be accused of showing favoritism, because we're really getting into fair housing violations there. Even if you don't intend to, you have to be careful. So first question that you want to ask is, why are you moving? The reason we need to know, and it may not seem like it's any of your business, but the reality is you have to know, because if this person has a problem with the previous landlord, like he was a jerk who insisted on prompt payment of rent, well, that's going to be a real problem. You know? So why are they moving? What's the problem? What's happening in their life? And that's something you need to know about.
Question 2 is, when do you plan on moving in? Why is this important?
Well, a lot of people expect that they can submit an application now, and if they decide to move in 3 months, you'll hold it for them.
Right.
That does not work. And you need to let people know this property is ready right now. And if they are accepted, they'll need to move in almost immediately, because we're not in the business of holding property for people. So what is their level of urgency right now?
Question 3 seems like a pretty important one. What is your monthly income?
It really is. And this is what we are primarily concerned about. Can that person, if we take the rent and multiply it by 2 or 2.5 to 3, that should give you a very good idea. If their income is substantially below that, and I'm talking gross now, and you know, if they just can't afford it, you're not doing them any favors by renting to them, because it just puts them in an awkward financial position, and you're going to have to ask them to leave later. So find out now what it is.
Question 4, can I ask for references from your landlords and employer? Do you have to ask if you can ask?
No, but I want them to know I'm going to do that. And you misread it. It's not your landlords, it's your former landlords.
There you go.
You know, the landlord that's you're leaving is so happy to get rid of you if you're a bad tenant.
Right.
They're going to give you a glowing recommendation. Call the previous landlord and say, would you rent to this person again? And they're very likely to remember that person and just say, honestly, I would never rent to this person again because we had a bad experience. And they might be reluctant to say that in a posting somewhere, because they don't want to get in trouble. But talking to you person to person over the phone, they'll give you an honest answer, and it's particularly helpful.
All right, what's question 5?
Question 5, will you submit a rental application and consent to a background check and a credit check? We've got to know what their background is, and this is more and more common, but the real key here is we've got to pull a credit report. Your 3-digit credit score is an indication of how you handle your credit obligations in the past, and that is, I think, the best indicator, Buck, of how you're likely to pay your rent in the future. Some people, if it comes down to making the payment on their motorcycle or making the payment on the rent, they're going to pay the motorcycle and push the rent back. Right. I don't want that, and I can't have that.
All right, I feel like a game show host. We have a bonus question. John, what's our bonus question?
How many people will be living in the apartment or the house that you're going to be renting? And this is really important, because the more people that live there, the more wear and tear on your property. And we don't want somebody who's planning on having, you know, 6, 7, 8 people living there. And I've had that situation. And if you ask them, they'll tell you, but they're not going to volunteer that.
Right.
And you find out later that's the case. Of course, it's a violation of the lease, but they've been able to get away with it so far. So you just go ahead and ask it. How many people are going to be living here? You ask those questions, and you've got a pretty good idea of whether or not this is a good match.
Sure.
And again, you're not doing them any favors if the person isn't going to work out by saying yes.
There you go. All right, good advice as always, John. Thanks a lot. And John's going to be here for the next hour to answer all your real estate questions on our Fox 5 Atlanta Facebook page. And Good Day Atlanta will be right back. Stay with us.